There's 3 ironic ways people train that keep them on plateaus, but I'll show you the paradoxical way to break through to new levels. It's funny because you wouldn't think these 3 ironic methods keep you stuck. The first I'll label blasting. This is full power training that you would see in a weight room or on the cardio floor. It's like a person who trains beyond their means and then can't sustain it and then they fall back behind. High intensity cardio programs do this. Many weightlifting programs are designed like this too. Most DIY programs will put you in that boat. The boat rises for a moment, then sinks because it's full of holes. These holes are the joints, the core strength, even the mindset that don't have the time to catch up to the level of training. The second is progressive overload. If you've been around fitness, and you know I hate that word fitness, rather physical and mental training, you've heard of progressive overload. This is increasing the volume of work or the amount of resistance over time of the same exercise. Sure, more weight might be on the bar, but it creates overcompensations and eventually weak links that have to be unraveled. Also, over frustratingly long periods of time. I'm sure you've seen people at the gym doing pretty much the same thing years later. This is because despite what the religion of scientism says, humans are much more complicated than following a set routine with progressive overload and thinking it will result in superhuman levels. Life is filled with potholes, blind spots, and weak links if you're using these methods. Plus, stuff like this just gets stale. The third is hypertrophy. This is more of a mindset issue than a physiological one. For some reason, people are obsessed with hypertrophy, focusing on maximal hypertrophy every single doggone session unless it's cardio day, like hypertrophy won't take care of itself. It's like worrying about sleep or nutrition or heck, just worry period. It doesn't solve anything. Depending on what you train for, hypertrophy will take care of itself. It's not even a tool. It literally happens on its own. But don't make the means to the end itself. That makes absolutely no sense. This mindset locks people into their own self-made prison cell, never learning or growing or adapting into something entirely new and better. Each of these 3 ironic methods, even though the entire idea is to blast past plateaus, will keep you on one indefinitely for the rest of your life. You see, all 3 of those methods use the same repetitive skills ad infinitum to hopefully break through to new levels. Do you see the irony? Albert Einstein, whether he was really a genius or a fictitious character designed for marketing purposes, I don't know, but a quote which is attributed to him is genius. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And not only do those 3 methods do that, but so does most of fitness so-called. Now, the single way to get off a plateau and really build powerful strength and skill is twofold. First, we work on new skills all the time. And the second is even more important. We do something incredibly boring, which opens up the new skills over time. This is called steady state. You may have heard of this, but not in the way that we use it. Steady state is exceedingly boring. You do the same boring stuff over and over and over again for months. And you students asking for program updates, stop. You're on steady state and you're going to progress faster than all your peers combined. The difference here is the intentionality. I literally tell my students, do it till it gets boring. You are literally striving for boredom. Literally, just the same flips, the same strength. Maybe it's dips and pull-ups. Maybe it's ninja strength caught a level 2. Maybe handstand caught a level 3. Maybe something scary like a flip into foam blocks. At first, it might feel totally overwhelming, but you do the same warm-up, the same strength, the same skills week after week until it gets boring. The next phase is entirely optional, and it's to maybe add a rep or 2, maybe change a variable or 2. By that, I mean, let's say a cork, a single leg flip with a kick and a full twist in the air. This may or may not be where you're currently at with your training right now, but it applies to everything, all the way to single leg squats or regular bodyweight squats or muscle ups or rows. Now, when I say to add a rep or two, it's literally that. Each week, maybe another rep, maybe not. At least end on a good one, you know? But keep the volume just about the same. And by changing a variable, I mean go from a soft surface like a spring floor to a less soft surface like grass. Nothing else, maybe not even that. In this case, we call it progressive steady state. My own special technique that you heard first on this channel. It's still the same things done week after week after week, just with little tweaks here and there. This is where coaching and implementation comes in until it gets, boring. At a certain point, you know it's boring. You hit moves 10 out of 10, it's time to move up a level. We do this officially via a level test where you perform a kata. If you're training by yourself, film yourself, use a mirror. Either way, you should level up every 8 to 24 weeks. That's sometimes up to 6 months doing the same stuff. This longer period would likely though be used more for advanced students. In other words, in a beginner level, you should be progressing quite a bit more quickly. So what does leveling up look like? Well, here's where it gets fun. You break the bubble of your own comfort zone. Unlike the 3 ironic methods, you change the strength and skills dramatically. You swap out the moves for strength, not just sitting there doing squats and deadlifts and bench press and yoga for the rest of your miserable life. But you might change every single move to more advanced skills, turning misery into joy. Concrete example. 3 months rows, 3 months pull-ups, then muscle-ups for 6 months, then muscle-up variations in the second year of training. You won't hear this anywhere else, and it works. Another concrete example, a brand new kata, mind blown. Or adding half a degree more twist to a flip. And then training until that becomes boring. Now, this is very important. What about all the boring in between? How do you get through all that? Because it's not. The goal is to eventually arrive at boring. You're not training boring the whole time. You're working on refining the movements, pushing to get all your goal reps, linking moves together smoothly in the kata. There's so many mini goals inside all of that. And eventually you arrive at boring without even realizing it, and you intuitively know you're ready to move on, and then you do. So I would call this periodized steady state. And all of this goes way beyond mere physical training. I know not all of you might share the same viewpoint, but I unapologetically state that this training reflects being created in the image of God and the fruit of that spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. You don't train like a sluggard sloth or like a deranged lunatic. There's self-control. There's patience to put in the time and work. There's joy in breaking through to the new level. There's just so much more here than people realize in terms of bodyweight strength and skill. There's so much more that can be crammed into a single video. So go watch more. Don't be a sheep. Don't be a cynic. Don't be brainwashed by big education, big food, or big fitness. Believe in yourself. Try new methods. I wholeheartedly promise you that if you implement something as boring as steady state into your training, slightly modify it with progressive steady state, and then break through to new levels with periodized steady state, you're going to paradoxically gain more strength and skill than you realized was possible. Plus, find out a lot about yourself. See you in the next video and in training soon.